Hello, this is Lisa with Queen Bee Creations. I want to welcome you to our online class today. Today we're going to be working on a notepad holder. So that's this piece right here. I really like this little technique. It opens up and there's a little notepad inside, and then it's got a magnetic closure. So here's our little holder. And I did this one using the poinsettia paper and the new Curvy Keepsakes set because I needed to do something with that set. I hadn't used it yet. And I made this swoosh and it was a little bit of a pain. So we're going to do that a little different because my promise to you is always that we're going to make stuff stress-free. And this little thing was a little bit stressful. So if you want to know how to do it, let me know. I'd be more than happy to teach you. But for the general public out there, they probably don't want to know how to confuse themselves. So we are making something similar, but not quite. I am bringing in my pieces. So here I have the little tablet. And what this is a tablet I bought at the dollar store. I mean, I bought a bunch of them. I cut them in half and I cut them this way. Now, I have a guillotine trimmer, so I was able to do that. And if you're local, I'd be happy to cut yours for you. Otherwise, you can find some with a guillotine trimmer or go down to an office supply store and they'll be happy to cut it for you too. They don't charge very much. But I just needed a little bit of a pad. Now this one I made 8 inches because the longest I could go this way was 8.5. And so I needed to do my layers. And in order to do that, I needed to count backwards. So this time I did it 7 inches just because this one seemed a little long. So I just want to show you that even though whatever pad you may find may be a little bit different, you can still make it work. Because I kind of decided that I wanted this to be whatever this is. I measured it out. It was almost 3 inches. So my middle is 3.5. And then I knew that I needed to go up at least 1/2 inch to cover this. So if I had my 3.5 direct out of the middle, then I went 1/2 inch to each side, then I knew, just split the difference. So I'd actually found this was 11 inches. So I found my 5.5. So if I knew I wanted this in the middle, so then I can take my ruler, 1/2 of 3.5, 1 3/4. So I went over 1 3/4 each way, then over another 1/2 inch for my score lines. So my score lines are at, let me make sure I get this right. They're at 3 inches, 3.5, 7, and then 7.5. And that got me my base. I have the layers that are going to go over it. Now my middle piece, remember I said it was 3.5 and this was 3. So the middle between that is 3.25. This is 7.5. So this must be 8. So this is 8 by 11. And then I have one for the other side. So this will go in the back behind here. That's going to be the same size for the Seaside spray. So that's 3 inches. This would be 3.25 and 7.25, because again, we're going down 1/4 inches. You following me? Then on either side, because these were 3 inches, these are 2 3/4. And there's one for inside, one for outside. And then for the outside, these are 2.5 by 7. You got that? Does everybody understand my math and how I went about doing that? I mean, I know some of you like me to give exact measurements, but I want you to be able to look at something and go, gee, I'd love to cover that in Stampin' Up! Cardstock. How would I go about doing that? And you just kind of measure what your thing is, how many layers you want behind it, and you're just increasing by 1/4 inches both ways. Okay, good. It's making sense to some people. And I mean, I do this all the time when I make little gifts for people. Say I wanted to cover a thing of Tic Tacs. I would measure how wide the Tic Tac is, how wide the side is, make it 1/4 inch bigger this way, 1/4 inch bigger this way. I'm going to score with the 1/2 inch in the middle, or maybe even 3/4. 3/4 would probably be comfortable. And then you would just make your base, and then you'd put your DSP over the top of it, again, 1/4 inch smaller. Score lines at the same place, and then you would run your ribbon between the DSP and the cardstock. Like I said, just a pack of gum. I mean, anything that you want to give as a gift and you want to wrap. I mean, I did handy wipes one time and they came out really super cute. So just remember that it is easy to do. So this one, like I said, I'm not going to go ahead and do the curvy side to it because that was a little bit confusing. But what I can do is I can make a point of some kind, or let's see. We come in here and we know that this is, say that's 7.5, 3 3/4 is going to be the middle. So that's going to be right about there. And then I probably want to come over an inch or 2 on the side. Let's do 1.5 inches. That looks about right. So I'm going to do 1.5 inches on that side and 1.5 inches on this side. And then I want to connect this to this. And that's if I want it to be a flat out point. If I don't quite want it to be a point, I want it to be kind of a blunt end that I can stick something on. I can bring it over 1/2 inch on each side. So then I would be cutting from here to here, and then from there to there. And these are just pencil marks. I have a tendency to do them so I don't, get myself confused. I very rarely waste paper. I can almost always salvage something because it's just another chance to embellish, right? There's that little point. Now I'm going to burnish our score lines. Yes, I do love the new curvy dies, and it came out really pretty, and I like it. I just, like I said, I'm trying to keep everybody stress-free. If you're more advanced and you do want to learn how to do it, I'm more than happy to show you how to do it. I just don't want to stress out any newbies that may be watching. Okay, so there's going to be our cover. You get it? Okay, now for the inside here, I'm going to need to be able to follow this edge. Now, when I had done this with the curvy dies, I had a piece that was, cut to match. And then I just lined it up. And then I cut it with my scissors about where it was going to match. So this time it's easier. It's a straight line. Could probably even do it in the measurements with math, but this will show you no matter what shape you're trying to follow, once you get the one down, you can just match the others. And if you're afraid of it, make this a little bit wider, and then you can always trim it down to fit. Because once you make the edge fit, so you're going to put it in here and you go, okay, but it sticks over too far this way, it's easy to cut off the long side. Right? You can always come in with your paper trimmer and just snap off this side once you have whatever your design on this side is done. So that's going to go just like that. Apparently I don't have the two sides similar. Oh, see, it fits this side. So, okay, so now I'm just going to flip it. Like I said, there's always an adjustment. So if my sides aren't exactly square like I thought they were, and I cut it to match this side, that's where we'll glue it, right? We'll make this part easy. And I'm going to be a little bit generous with the tape because this may, bounce around in my purse, and I want to keep it nice looking and not have the edges stick up. You might even want to do liquid glue. That's what I did on the first one while I was working out all my little kinks. Okay, so the DSP I'm only putting on the outside. You could choose to put it on the inside if you wish. I didn't. And hopefully you're on my mailing list. I've got a newsletter getting ready to go out this week. I'm changing over email service, and I have a sign up form on my blog. If you just fill in the popover, I just get your email address and some little information. But if you fill in the stuff at the top, if you click newsletter on the bar and fill it in, I like to send birthday cards out on your birthday. So I don't need the year, but if you give me the month and the day and your address, I'd be happy to send you a birthday card. Okay, again, my measurement's a little bit funky, so I'm going to put my 1/4 inch here, and I'll just trim this off, right? There you go. Perfect. So you can see what I'm doing better. I'll move that one out of the way. But I'm just making sure that it's even with the blue out here, giving me my little layering. Then I'm going to just do this. Now the other one had to be on the proper side because it was designer series paper, and I needed the side I wanted up. This one, because this can flip either way, if I, this is the way I cut it, I guess, but if I had messed it up and gone this way and it didn't fit, which of course now it does, then you can just flip it over since it's just plain cardstock. It would have been smart if I had stuck the magnets under this. I have teeny tiny magnets, and I'm going to pull off 4 of them. Oops. And this is wonderful stuff. This is called Undo, and it's an adhesive remover that's going to let me lift this up ever so gently. And I'm going to be able to stick my magnets under here. So I'm going to do that with a glue dot. There we go. I just set the magnets, glue dotted into there. And the Undo dries very quickly. And if it doesn't dry enough for you right away, you can always heat it with the heat tool, and that makes it dry super fast. I've done that quite often. Okay, now I could just glue the magnets over here, but then we're not going to know where they go, right? And magnets have polarity, which means that one side's going to want to stick to the other magnet and one side's not. So the best way to do that is to find the magnet underneath and let it just snap. See, so I just kind of let go of them close to where they wanted to go, and that's how I want my magnets. So once we get our pad in there, I can show you. Okay, now I want this side to be on the left when I close it. So I'm going to lay it this way. And then I'm going to put my pad right here. But we don't want to put it in looking like this, right? That's kind of ugly. Now I can choose to add an entire sheet of designer series paper on the front. I would want it a little bit longer so it would fold over and go on the back. Or what I did with the other one is I just came in with some snips and cut it off at this black line. So again, I knew this was 3 inches. So I'm going to cut this down to 3 inches. And then I want it to fold over. So this is 3 by 2.5. And like I said, I know I want it to go on there. And then I'm just going to crease it. Now this I'm going to get quite a bit of adhesive because I want to make sure it's good and stuck since it's going to get activity. And I can fold it over. And I'm just allowing it to crease where it wants to. and then being generous on the back. Now, if you didn't get it exactly right, you can always come in and just trim. Again, I always leave things a little bit long instead of a little bit short because you can always trim off, but gluing it back on doesn't always look right. And then this flapped up a little bit. So I'm just going to go ahead and put some glue dots under here. So now that's ready to adhere there. Now I could use just the seal, but I'm going to use either tear and tape or my Stampin' Seal Plus. Where can you find Undo? You can find it online or you can find it at local craft stores. You're in Sacramento, so maybe Hobby Lobby or Michael's. I mean, as much as I hate to send you there, that's where I get it. I don't buy my stamps and paper there because Stampin' Up's quality is way better, but Undo is fantastic. And I can even probably give you a link to Amazon. But I've used this since I started scrapbooking back in the 90s, and I can even put this on photographs and it won't destroy the emulsion on the top, which I just find fascinating. I can use it with something I've stamped. It doesn't blur my ink. It's just fantastic. So, almost done, right? So remember I talked about these magnets and how I wanted them to stick. And so what I'm going to do is come in with another glue dot and I'm going to stick it on top. Now I want to make sure I'm looking from the side that I'm squared up and this side is squared up. And then I'm just going to close it. And by closing it and pushing, it's going to pick those up and make them stick to this side. So now I have my magnetic closure. Isn't that cute? Now I want to put some kind of decoration here on the outside. So I have some pre-cut snowflakes over here in my pile of stuff. So these are the snowflakes that are in the So Many Snowflakes die bundle. They're really pretty, very delicate, and they layer up beautifully. But I want them to be backed on something, so I'm going to do that with the circle punches. Oh, look, I probably already got one punched. That's why I keep these things, I tell you. These little Pendaflex folders keep all my little scraps, and when I cut out ovals and circles and whatever, I just pop them in here, and they're often available when I need them. So this is Gorgeous Grape. This is Seaside Spray, Highland Heather, and Purple Posy. And I always put my snowflakes together with some adhesive. So I'm just centering it up and offsetting. So what do you think? Is anybody going to give this a try? See, I have my hanging folders for scraps. That's why you need to do this, because it makes you remember they're there. So every color of cardstock I have in a hanging file. Within the hanging file, I have a file folder that has all of my loose sheets. There's a full pack. And then my little tiny pieces are all in here. So this is where I start. And if I don't have the piece I need in here big enough, then I go to a full sheet. And when I run out of full sheets, I have my pack. And they're all just stored in my drawer like that. And I always use my scraps. Now I'm going to pop over here to my drawer. These are my adhesive rhinestones. And they're in a gum container. You know when you're at the checkout stand and there's those giant packs of gum? They come in these little plastic containers. So I save them and I put all my little doodads in them. And I've got one for rhinestones, one for pearls, one for enamel dots. And they all just sit in my drawer like this. So they're easy to grab. And I make sure I get underneath to grab the glue dot that goes with the rhinestone. I'm going to poke that in the middle. Now I'm ready to put this on. Those of you who know me know I go in threes, and so I'm going to come in with some littler ones. And let's just put those into some snowflakes on the DSP. There you go. There's a beautiful little gift that you can be proud to give to anybody that didn't cost you a whole lot of money. I started out with a Dollar Tree pad, wrapped it in some cardstock, and it's beautiful. So there you go. Here's today's project, all finished up and ready to go. So I hope you enjoyed today's class. Like I said, I'll go ahead and post the links on this video to find all the supplies that I used. If you need to find me, you know where I am. Thanks. Bye.